Welcome back, guys, to another...
And it's part number 5 of our F1 24 career mode here as we come to the Chinese Grand Prix. Shanghai returns to the calendar officially after a long hiatus. But if you guys did miss the previous episode, then be sure to go check the one out before you see this one, as it was a thrilling one at Suzuka and a very good day in the office for the team. You know, it was a good team result. We had another really exceptional race where we were able to match, you know, the pace levels we showed in Jeddah. Actually, you know, having a fun race where we were overtaking cars, but it was our teammate Lando Norris that took all the plaudits because he went on to win his first race in Formula 1, and he did it 2 races earlier than he did in real life at Miami here at the Japanese Grand Prix. He's second place in the championship. We're sitting in a pretty decent P6, you know, ahead of Fernando Alonso, ahead of both Mercedes cars, the team that actually tried to approach us with a secret meeting last episode to maybe, you know, look to sign us in the future. So we're beating both their drivers, so no wonder maybe they want us in the car. But I'm happy where we are at the moment in our career, because we've still got plenty to learn and to grow within this team. You know, our teammates just won a race now, and we're still, I feel like, nowhere near winning a race. I mean, we're 6-0 on the rivalry, so we literally are completely getting thrashed by Lando Norris. You know, when you look at it at paper, you know, in reality, I think we're doing a good job. But obviously, the stats of the rivalry and the recognition is going to put it in favor of him. So, still plenty to go in this team and things to learn. And we come to Shanghai, which is going to be very interesting, I think, on this year's handling model, with the pointy front ends going to be quite something into turn 1 and that middle sector as well. Some upgrades did come on the car last episode. Now we're kind of in between upgrades in terms of, I don't think we'll have many coming to the car, but we will look to purchase an upgrade because we've got 700 R&D points ourselves. Now, I was debating whether to do a tire wear upgrade or a chassis weight reduction. In the end, I remembered what happened in Australia. I came to my senses, and we're doing a tire wear upgrade because the tire wear has been very high on this year's game. Tyre temperatures is an issue. Don't know whether this tyre wear upgrade will affect the tyre temperatures. I'm kind of hoping it might do something to alleviate the tyre temperature issues you can face in the game, but it's mostly going to be about wear, but that will also be a good thing, because right now, yeah, it can be very high, especially if you're putting it under high load and stress. So, yeah, that will come in, and we'll hopefully see a marginal gain there in the race when it comes to the pace. But we're now looking through our specialist targets for this episode. We did meet every single one of the goals we had last time out with all those overtakes, etc. These ones looking a little bit more obscure here, reaching 170 miles per hour or higher for 30 seconds. I reckon we should be able to do that easily, though, on the back straight to Shanghai, you would hope, basically. So Zoe, I think, will be fine with that. Marcel using overtake ERS mode for 35 seconds or reaching a top speed of 206. I'm going to go for the overtake mode. Again, I'm hoping we're going to be using plenty of overtake mode on the back straight to make overtakes. So far, the goals are looking pretty good, with Chloe with a material fabrication planner completing 5 laps without penalties or warnings during a race weekend. I would hope I can complete that. Performing 250 gear shifts during a single session. Not too... I can't do the maths off the top of my head about gear shifting over entire race distance, so I went with the first goal. But now my attention goes to the recognition, because I said this at the very end of last episode. We have actually got enough recognition in the team, 38%, to unlock the first secret R&D upgrade. But for the life of me, I can't tell where it is. I can't see where it is. I've been clicking like this extra blurb to, you know, open it up and confirm we do have that first R&D secret upgrade. And I was flicking through the menus trying to figure out, you know, where it's meant to be presenting itself. It's clearly there. We've clearly got the recognition. And it's just not there. I can't seem to find it. I don't know whether you guys are facing the same sort of struggle maybe. We have quite a few upgrades pending. 5 of them, 2 from my side, and 3 from from Lando's side of the garage. But yeah, frustrating not to be able to see where that secret upgrade is, because that would have been pretty cool to delve into. And also at the same time, one of you guys noticed actually early on, I think in part 1 or part 2, even though despite me choosing the McLaren Academy in the F2 career we did, for some reason the Academy bonus has not been applied to my save, which is a bit frustrating. You know, this along with a few other little foibles I'm having with the career mode at the moment. I will be making a separate video about things that I do think need to be tweaked, including also the AI, which a few of you have commented about. I'm not ignoring the issue, I'm just saving it for a separate video. But anyway, that's my little ranting portion of the video over. We're going to now get into the actual action, and we've got a sprint weekend for the Chinese Grand Prix, and for the first time on the F1 game, the new sprint format, where we have sprint qualifying, the sprint, then normal qualifying, and the full race. So we have 2 qualifying sessions and 2 obviously races that we already had for the previous F1 games, but the sprint qualifying shootout is new, and along with it you can see new tyre allocations. So only the soft compound of tyre can be used in the normal qualifying, but in sprint qualifying Q1 and Q2 we use medium tyres, and in Q3 we use soft tyres. So this will be cool for the first time to have this kind of different kind of qualifying take, and you know, that new tyre rule that we've not seen in the F1 game so far since they made the tweaks to the sprint in real life. But there he is, the race winner. Well done, mate. Well done. He's not looking at me. He's just gonna, yeah, okay. He's just gonna. Where are you going, mate? You should be working. You should be working on getting the upgrades on the car. Okay, he's gone. Back to work. Back to work. Yeah, cool. Yeah. Going into the race weekend, last time out, we were second on paper. Now Mercedes and Ferrari have come back at us with their own upgrades. Even Aston Martin have got a little bit closer to us as we've slowed down a little bit. We've still continued a nice trajectory, but they've definitely caught up a bit. So we're now back down to 4th in the standings, technically on paper, and Aston Martin are definitely a lot closer to us than they were at Japan. Williams plateauing a little bit with Kick Sauber, Haas, and Visa Cash Up RB all making good upgrades, and Red Bull crucially making an upgrade to try and pull away a bit more from us, from our chasing pack of Ferrari, Merc, McLaren, and Aston there. But obviously things take time, and like I have mentioned before, we are on reduced R&D. The AI are on increased R&D, so they are going to be making upgrades a bit quicker than we are, to give that extra challenge in this career mode, on top of the challenge already that we're finding of trying to perform and get used to the car and the handling. And to that effect, Elena, my agent, thinks that we need to buck up a little bit. She has high expectations for this session. She wants me to give it everything and try and out-qualify Lando. So we've just been given a little bit of immediate motivation, the kick up the arse from our agent. Let's go out there and try and see what we can do around Shanghai.
Now here's something we haven't said for a little while. Welcome along to qualifying in China. After a few years absence from the calendar, it is great to be back here. But just who is going to put their car on pole?
It's fun coming back to Shanghai for Formula 1 in the official capacity. Of course, we could have, had Shanghai on the calendar in the previous F1 games as an additional track, but now it's part of the official season. But one thing I am worried about is the tyres, especially around a corner like this. The load is going to be unbelievable in the races, so that's going to be a bridge will cross when we get to it, but it's going to be a very tricky one, and I feel like the bridge might be collapsing when we're crossing it in the race. But right now, just completing some objectives, I'm going to guess that's going to be either the ERS or the top-end speed objective that we had from either Zoe or I think Marcel, was it, as we now go through the final corner on the medium tyres in sprint qualifying 1. Although I must say, what's all the soft tyre running going on? Even my own teammate ran the softs, and the rules just said that you run the mediums. So I don't know what's going on there, but I'm quite happy we managed to out-qualify people in SQ1 on mediums, and we're going to stick with the mediums, and they're rule breakers. Rule breakers everywhere. But is it not a rule you have to go on the mediums? Is it just a suggestion that you must heed? I don't know. I thought it was a hard and fast rule. that you must use the mediums, as we are now, and Lando now follows suit. I think, you know, we had a little talking to him between SQ1 and SQ2, like, mate, you should be using the mediums here. And he did, and we're both through into SQ3. We've got some really genuinely good pace here. Lance Stroll knocked out. The Williams of Albon makes it in, so a bit of a topsy-turvy qualifying for a Williams to make it in, but obviously Williams have, to be fair, made upgrades, and this track does promote, obviously, good straight-line speed advantage. Now, this is the pressure, really, of SQ3, pretty much just a one-shot qualifying with one lap on the soft tyres. I was basically doing one shot in SQ1 and Q2, to be fair, as well, and that's the dynamic of the sprint qualifying. You have less time anyway to get your laps in, so I thought I may as well just try and banzai on one lap and try and get the job done, and we do that here as well as we go up to P4, and it continues to be a topsy-turvy qualifying because Lando only qualifies P7, but look at the time gaps. So we've got Red Bull a bit further out than everyone. They've locked out the front row, but then 3/10 gap to Leclerc, then 2/10 to me, there's 7/10 to where Lando is, and then there's, well, 2 seconds to Albon's time in P10. So, yeah, I guess the pressure was on, really, and the AI also only did one lap, like me, in SQ3. And to be fair, if you looked at the SQ2 and SQ1 lap times, they were kind of all over the shop. You had people on softs going slower than those on mediums. Then, you know, in Q2, you know, it was all a little bit jumbled up as well. So sprint qualifying has, kind of like in real life, thrown up a bit of a surprise, a bit of, you know, shaking things up a bit with that added pressure of performing over only just one lap pretty much when you get to the SQ3 portion of the day. And we've come up with a real great result. It's our highest qualifying of the entire season so far, and we have done what Elena said we needed to do. Go out there, put in the performance, and out-qualify Lando in sprint qualifying. It's not the full qualifying, so we'll see how that goes, but it still gives us that confidence that we can maybe go out there and do well, even if it is just for the sprint, you know, because we genuinely have some good pace around here, not just in the car, but ourselves versus Lando Norris. So second row for the sprint, and there might even be some rain amongst the action, so let's go to the race.
Well, the weather is not looking good today. We're expecting the downpours to continue into today's sprint. This will make for some very tricky conditions for all the teams.
So it's our first bit of wet weather racing action. We had obviously a wet qualifying in Australia in part number 3, but here in part 5, we've got, We've got wet. Wait, hang on a minute. It is raining. It is definitely raining. It's definitely wet. But everyone is starting on mediums, and I can't actually even change my tyre compound to intermediates. I can only swap between dry tyres with the strategy, but it is clearly raining. This is about to be chaos, I think. Right, well, we go to the formation lap. Oh my god, look at this spray. Look at the amount of standing water there was just on the grid. The spray off the cars, the lack of grip on the formation lap here.
You can have a bit more grip than that on the start.
Oh, will I? Oh, will I have more grip on the start, engineer? I really don't think so. I don't think getting heated to the brakes
negative.
is going to help.
Stay out. This is the formation lap. We cannot work on the car. There's no reason to come in. Do not box.
Right,
Negative
I've asked him there, can I pit? Because in real life, I'm pretty sure in real life, as long as you don't communicate on the radio, I think a driver can technically pit on the formation lap if he chooses to under his own accord. And I wanted to try and do that, but I'm breaking the rules because I'm talking to my engineer about it. But I just thought, look, let's try it because it's intermediate. I know that. I don't know if the AI drivers around me know that, but I think it's definitely time for intermediate. So I try to do it. I mean, look at that. Perez nearly went off, and for a second I thought, let's just carry on. But no, I thought, look, screw it. Let's try and go in the pits. Let's try. Oh, no. Okay, well, there's that. Perez almost crashed in the last corner there, by the way, forming the grid. And I am not allowed in the pit lane. It is intermediates, though. It is intermediates. What is this race start going to be? As we nearly put it in the wall on the formation lap. It is a fully wet track. I've not even parked it properly. That's bloody everything's going wrong in this race. I've been pushed back on my grid. It's wet. We're all on mediums. This is about to be utter chaos here at Shanghai. As we go to 5 red lights for this sprint, it is raining. We're all mediums, and it's going to be lights out. And away we go. Everyone's rear tyres spinning up, but we've got an electric start because I put my differential down as low as I could to try and get the traction. But at turn 1, we've gone wide. There's absolutely no grip. We go off circuit onto the painted stuff. Not any more grip on that, of course. And now we're down to second. We're going to try and defend Lewis Hamilton. Verstappen, though, he was on pole for this sprint. He's down in P11. Leclerc's down to P13. Chaos. Absolute chaos. Lando's up to P4. Both Mercedes cars also jumped up the order. So it looks like there was more grip the further back you went on the grid. You know, the front row, and Leclerc at least on the second row with me really had no grip whatsoever. But Perez leads the way after that mistake I made at turn 1, which to be fair, looking back at it, very similar to what Lando did in real life in Shanghai in the sprint, going wide at turn 1. But it is so wet out there, and I am 100% convinced the right calls to come in. But Perez stays out. Perez stays out. Everyone stays out, it would seem, as we drift our way through into the pit lane entry. The rear end stepped out as we, well, just try and slow down the car, but there's so little grip, the car doesn't want to do it, so it starts to spin out an aquaplane. But look at them all go. They've all continued on. They've all continued on medium tyres when it is so wet out there, and the intermediates are clearly going to be the better tyre. I seem to be the only one who thinks that. Even my engineer did not call me into pit. And breaking the fourth wall a bit, this is, unfortunately, another one of those known issues in the game at the moment that, for whatever reason, sometimes in these wet scenarios for races and sprints and full Grand Prix, the AI and you are locked to the dry tyre at the start, even if it is wet. And they don't seem to have the logic to come in for the wet tyres even after the lights have gone out. So here we are then, lap 3. We just saw Lando get overtaken by Hamilton for P2. So even in these tricky conditions, the AI, to be fair to them, are still going for it and trying to make overtakes and battle each other. But we have closed up. We've made a whole pit stop in a sprint race here. We're having a few little wobbles on the curbs because it's still very slippery out there, even though we've got the intermediates. But we have gained back all the time we've lost in the pits, and now it's going to be easy pickings as we go round the outside of Albon. Daniel Ricciardo, no traction there for the Aussie man, as we make a big send on Esteban Ocon and get down the inside for P17 and close up now to Hulkenberg through the long right-hander and just ease it in and look to dance the car round the outside of the German driver and get up into P16. Purple first sector, green the second, only because I've been slowed down by the cars ahead of me, as we need to watch out for them because they are obviously still obstacles we must overtake, but they are just basically obstacles. They're mobile chicanes right now because they're so slow as we set the fastest lap of the Grand Prix. Of course we have, because we're on intermediates in a very wet circuit. This is like, remember this man? Leclerc, he was on the second row with us, and now he's down here in P12. Unbelievable. We overtake Bottas and Leclerc with ease through the first few corners. Out traction Kevin Magnussen with overtake mode. Bit of battery use needed. Get round on the outside. We narrowly miss actually making a bit of contact with Max Verstappen as we're going straight on towards his rear end. But Verstappen, the man on pole, the man leading the championship, the reigning champ, puts up a bit of a fight there as he awkwardly places the car, but I'm just waiting for that opportunity for the door to open, and then we're just going to walk through it. No need to run, no need to barge through it, just simply leisurely walk through the open door, the open goal that is this race now. As we overtake Zhou Guan Yu, we close up on Pierre Gasly. We're just being patient with the overtakes, not wanting to dive bomb it too eagerly, because I now have the confidence that within 6 laps, I think a sprint race wins on. I think the sprint win is genuinely on for us, as we're up to P8 here, and ahead of us is the entire top 7, pretty much within one camera shot. They're there, because I think Lando just went through the hairpin, I can see. So the sprint win is actually on for us. All we've got to try and do is keep the car going on the black stuff, on the tarmac, and the intermediate pace is going to just shine out versus the medium tyres. To be fair to the drivers around us, to say they're on mediums that are now wearing, of course, they're actually not doing too badly in terms of they're not losing control, they're not kind of spinning or whatever, which is another issue, I think, in the game at the moment, is the AI very much aren't making any mistakes, and they're very much just on rails on the racing line. So that's another thing that needs to be looked at. But at the moment, we're just focusing on the task at hand and the fun at hand, to be fair, of just trying to slice through these guys, and kind of the anticipation is building for me in the cockpit, because as we make every overtake, it's becoming more and more of a reality that I actually could be on for a freaking sprint race win here in Shanghai. Unbelievable. 5 parts into this career mode, and we could be getting a win of sorts. It won't be a full Grand Prix win, and I won't feel like we've, actually won something in Formula 1 until we get a Grand Prix victory. But a sprint win is still going to be pretty damn amazing, I think I saw a comment last part that we're kind of doing a Piastri simulator. Kind of, but we're fast-tracking it a bit here, because like Piastri got the sprint win in Qatar in his rookie debut season, he had to wait to the end of the season. We're going to be hopefully doing it within 5 Grand Prix weekends as we're up into the top 4. We can see Hamilton, Lando ahead, who's re-overtaken him, to be fair, up to P2. Look at the tyres. Oh my God. Even in the cold, wet conditions, my tyres are overheating. And to be fair, maybe that's showing that the conditions are wet, but they're not overly wet where the tyres are able to cool down. Maybe, or maybe that's just Shanghai and race conditions is going to absolutely cook whatever tyres you're on, even intermediates, on the internal temperature, as you make quick work of Lewis Hamilton. And I'm hoping Lando does not put up too much of a fight. He does go defensive, but he does leave the door open for an easy little drift through on the outside to get up into second place. This is it then, lap 6. 4 laps to go in the sprint here at Shanghai as we wobble around on the rear end. We're trying to go as quick as we can, because I'd rather get this move done sooner rather than later, because then we can just control the race from there. Perez struggling on the mediums. Everyone has been. And he goes a bit defensive there as he comes across the left. He blocks off the inside. It's fine. We'll go to the outside, get to the apex first, and we're up into first place of the sprint race. Unreal stuff. Unbelievable. We're drifting through. There's still work to be done, but we are going to hold this through on towards lap 10 of the sprint race. Moves going on behind us on the last lap between Hamilton and Russell, and Lando's overtaken Perez, sorry. So it's not only going to be the sprint race win here at Shanghai, it's going to be a 1-2 for McLaren. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. What a mess. What a mess of a sprint race. But what's come out of it is a crazy sprint win in only our 5th Grand Prix race weekend as a Formula 1 driver for McLaren. Wow. Wow, oh wow. And it's a 1-2 in the sprint as well. Like I said, it's not the full Grand Prix, so it doesn't really count. But it's still something. It's still something. Wow. We are a sprint race winner in Formula 1. And it's a 1-2 as well. Crazy. The championship leader, Verstappen, down in P11. He had a shocking sprint race in those conditions. Him and Leclerc just never got going, basically, off the lights. And they really struggled in the traffic then to make moves, etc. What a result. What a result. But the kind of, in a weird way, the annoying thing about the new sprint format, it doesn't mean anything. It doesn't mean anything. We've gained a lot in stats, but it doesn't mean anything, because now we reset and we're about to go again for another qualifying, for the normal qualifying, for the normal Grand Prix. So we forget all of what just happened and we reset and we do it all over again.
Now here's something we haven't said for a little while. Welcome along to qualifying in China. After a few years' absence from the calendar, it is great to be back here. But just who is going to put their car on pole?
It really does feel like the sprint weekend portion of these races now is going to feel like it didn't even happen when we do them, especially because the VO lines from the commentators is not going to even reference anything that happened in the sprint. You know, like this would be like a moment of excitement of, still probably buzzing off getting a sprint win, getting back into a qualifying mode, but that's exactly what we're going to do. And we've got a different task at hand of trying to get through into this Q3, the Q3 proper. And this one was a lot more nerve-wracking because we already did Q1, by the way. I didn't bother showing you that because that was a formality. But this wasn't. This was pretty close. Albon, I thought, could have knocked us out there. He was only maybe a tenth off knocking us out. So we scraped by in Q3. And I was a bit worried about our pace, because for whatever reason, we weren't looking as quick as we were in the sprint qualifying. Myself and Lando, P9 and 10 in Q2, only just scraping in. So I was a bit concerned that maybe the track had changed, the rubbered in or whatever for other teams, until we got to the last sector. Look at this unbelievable slipstreaming here from Lando. Perfect. He didn't make a bother. He just stayed there. We were able to gain a massive tow, so much so that I locked up because we also gained a little slight tow from Hamilton and had to navigate him. But it can't be stressed how much time that's probably gained me here. This slipstream is so powerful in this game. And we've gone P1 in Q3 proper right now. Are we about to get pole position for the Chinese guy? Okay, no. Okay, thank you, Max. Thank you for ruining that. It's not pole position. Max Verstappen is inevitable, and he's ruined everything there. But it's second place. It's the front row. It's our first front row ever in Formula 1 proper in Q3 for the proper Grand Prix. And Lando has done me a solid there. We went into this race weekend a little bit downbeat. Elena saying we have to try and beat him in qualifying. And Lando, what a teammate he's been there, because he's sacrificed himself giving me that slipstream, because he's way down in P10, 1.8 seconds off the pace, 1.5 seconds off the pace of me. So he's clearly not putting a proper lap there. But for whatever reason, he's done me wonders and given us a tow and allowed us to shine this race weekend. We've got the sprint win, and now we've got a front row here for the full Grand Prix tomorrow. Unbelievable stuff.
It's time again then for Formula 1 in Shanghai. Northwest of the thriving city of over 24 million people is a circuit that first featured in the championship calendar back in 2004. It played host to Formula 1's 1000th Grand Prix back in 2019. Shanghai International Circuit then is a 16-corner high-speed thrill ride. The long and ever-tightening right-hander at turns 1 and 2 tests the driver's patience. The flats open to the elements location test their skill in a crosswind. 2 DRS zones will assist passing, and they're available into turn 1 and down the kilometre-long back straight into turn 14. Before we begin, let's take a quick look at the grid lineup for today's race. World champion Max Verstappen starts from pole position and a McLaren alongside. Looking down the rest of the grid, we have Russell, Leclerc, Perez, Fernando Alonso, Hamilton, Sainz, Stroll, Norris, Bottas, Sargent, Ocon, Gasly, Joe, Tsunoda, Ricciardo, Magnussen, Hülkenberg, and Alex Albon picks up the last spot on the grid. And now it's time to head down to the track. And alongside me today, a man small in stature but big on comment, Anthony Davidson. Hello. Now, sadly, things didn't work out for them last time. It was a bad race. Question is, though, can they recover today?
Yes, they can, Crofty. You've got to put it behind you. Whatever happened last time, I was always told as a driver, park it, forget about it. Obviously, feel the pain when it happens, but then you can't dwell on it and carry that through to the next race. So put it behind you and just crack on with this race coming your way now.
So we come to a much drier formation lap for the second time here at Shanghai, and a lot less chaos is probably going to ensue in this race when it comes to confusion and disbelief lining up on the grid, where, well, most of us are starting on the hard compounded tyre. Leclerc on mediums, but it seems like even the AI drivers are cottoning on to the hard tyre start meta, potentially, or it might just be the tyre allocation, to be honest, from the sprint mode session and the allocation that everyone has, basically, because my recommended strategy was actually starting on hards. I didn't even have to change this manually. My engineer recommended this to me, so I think it's just because of the tyre allocation. But it is going to make things interesting then with the likes of Leclerc. I think both Ferraris on medium, so will they be looking to try and get into a 1-2 position with the faster compound, and we're all playing the longer game? Who knows? But I want to see what we can do from the front row. The pace was, well, it was strong in the sprint because we were on a different tyre, but the pace was very strong in qualifying. But who knows what the dry tyre pace is going to be like today. We're going to find out. I really hope it's okay. No matter what, this will be a fond race weekend in memory for the sprint win. But what can we do in the Grand Prix proper as we go to 5 red lights here in Shanghai? And we're underway. Verstappen with a bit of wheel spin. Some for myself as well in the second phase of the getaway. Despite deploying battery all the way into turn 1, Leclerc has slung it around the outside on those mediums. He's got the quicker getaway. We're trying our best to get the nose turned in, but the car is difficult to rotate over the curbs, and versus Leclerc, he just has that tighter bite-in point, and we're understeering on the outside. We're down to P3. The Ferrari immediately overtakes this. Sainz in the background making some moves, I think. Like I said, I think the Ferraris are looking to maybe try and get a surprising 1-2 early on in this race with Verstappen also on hards, and then we'll see how the tyre strategy shakes out. But we're down to 3rd place, annoyingly, and what did I say? Almost immediately, Leclerc is diving it down the inside, nearly making contact with Max Verstappen as they're wheel-to-wheel still on the exit of the hairpin as they end lap 1. Leclerc wasting no time trying to get this lead on the medium tyre. He needs clean air. He needs it to try and protect the tyres and do the race he wants to do. The same for Sainz, who's up to P6, and he's still got some ways to go. Lando from P10 has climbed up to P7. That's at least very promising for him after basically sacrificing himself for the slipstream in qualifying. That got us in this position where we're 3rd place ahead of Sergio Perez, who is very much sticking with us. Both of us with DRS open, but we're both watching the fight ahead of us of Leclerc once again going for the move and trying to get this overtake done. But Verstappen is actually a very tough cookie to overtake, as you would imagine. He's doing really well. He just slings Leclerc out wide. The Ferrari will go again, but it's Russell with the fast lap of the Grand Prix behind. Perez is going for a move maybe. We've both got DRS open, but into turn 1, I go understeering off to the left, and Perez has basically made a bit of a switch back there from left to right and got down the inside at turn 1. He'll turn to the outside for the next corner, but the Red Bull dances around the outside. Bit of contact even as Perez gets very, very aggressive. We're going to try and come back at him now as we go to the inside for the lunge. Perez sinks us the dummy again. It's a second switch back of the day for Perez on myself, but we're still going at it, nearly banging tyres again into sector 2, side by side. Oh, Perez! He keeps his foot in. This is actually really nice battle, and I'm actually quite shocked at how committed Perez was through that sector 2. I really thought I would have squeezed him out completely, but he kept his foot in and was still there on the outside, and it turned into the next inside corner in the twisting part of that lap, and he's still on us. And on this straight, this is the issue I'm finding. The AI are so quick on this straight. Now, even on hot lap mode initially, and then on medium, look how quick they are. Obviously, I don't have DRS, so I'm a bit of a sitting duck as they would if I had DRS on them. But I can already tell it's going to be difficult versus all the drivers behind us down that straight. It's almost like we have to overuse the ERS there and sacrifice it elsewhere, which at the moment I'm reluctant to do because I want to keep it for elsewhere as well. But to be fair, we are just defending, and we're looking right now at a 3-way battle. Sainz in the middle of the Merc and the Red Bull. Meanwhile, we're just, what are we doing? Well, we've understeered completely off circuit. We've dipped a tyre into the grass. Now a major lock-up on the front left. It's all going down the toilet. Sainz up to 3rd. Russell's just got us for P4. And in the end of it, Sergio Perez funnily enough, is still behind us after all of that. But now we're both respectively down 2 positions. That's frustrating. I checked for vehicle condition because we did make a little bit of contact with Russell, but no harm, no foul. But the pace is looking a little bit frustrating, I would say, is the word. As we try and go for a dive on Russell, you know, they're also harvesting ERS into that hairpin because you can see their rain light flashing. So they are going none ERS at the end of this straight. But it's for most of it, it seems like they're using overtake mode and really gunning for it, as we see Leclerc again gunning for Verstappen. He's just tucked up behind, unable to make a move, which is another pattern I'm seeing in these races, frustratingly, is it's nearly 4 abreast as Perez is fighting Russell and Lando is round our outside. The man who gave us that tow in qualifying, well, it's my turn to repay the favour of not basically putting up a fight and just understanding that he's quicker. They're all quicker. I'm not that quick in this race right now. I am going backwards and I'm getting swallowed up by all these drivers. We just do not have the pace to match them fully. Turn 1, I'm not learning from my mistake, clearly, because I'm still not covering off the inside line, and I really should be. And really, honestly, watching back the footage, I'm screaming at myself about trying to block off that inside line. And now Fernando Alonso has whittled his way through the wily old fox. As he gets down the inside, we have to give him a bit of room to work with. And he's trying to squirrel his way into the fight. We've not avoided keeping the engine above, or below, sorry, 140 degrees, which actually I should have paid more attention to. Because I think a massive problem for me in this race right now is I'm actually overheating my engine quite a lot, and I didn't realise how bad that was affecting performance. My top end speed has really been suffering, and I thought it was purely down to ERS management, but I think it's actually because my engine was also severely overheating behind all the turbulent hot air of the cars I was trying to defend, trying to fight, and in the end of it, I had to do a bit of kind of self-reflection of kind of just taking it easy and trying to cool down the engine, kind of calm down the tire wear as well, and try and get back into some sort of conservation groove. Yeah, it's a real puzzle. I'm still kind of learning, you know, as we go on, obviously. I think in the 50% race or above, there is a certain, versus AI at least, in career modes. I don't know about league racing, etc. But definitely versus, you know, in career mode, I think there really is something to be said about actually doing what they do in real life and driving conservatively, trying to keep the tyre temps in check, trying to keep this engine in check. Look at that engine, 147.8 degrees. That is absolutely going to be slowing down my car in a straight line. So I had to try and get that in check. So, yeah, a bit of a real, you know, tough learning spot for me in this race of, you know, a stark reminder to pay attention to those factors, because otherwise we'll lose lap time. As we see Lando in P2 right now fending off Perez, because the two Ferraris, by the way, they had already made their pit stops off those mediums a bit earlier in the Grand Prix. Alonso P4 now, unfazed by the fighting going on between the two Mercs and Lance Stroll. The two Mercs making contact. I think one of them is about to come into the pit lane, and I sense an opportunity to absolutely go for it, send it in to the inside, drift the car through, and we're going to make a pit lane entry overtake on Lewis Hamilton. Hamilton went wide. He's got to be thankful there's no gravel trap like there anymore, because he would have done what he did in 07. But we come in and we've made an overtake in the pit lane entry. That is probably the only bit of satisfying enjoyment I have had in this race since we started making those mistakes at turn 1 and losing all the positions we gained in qualifying, as we make a move on Hamilton at the pit lane entry. And we did it with an unbelievable naughty little drift as well, I must say, as well. As here's a replay from Hamilton's POV looking backwards. There we come, and there's the rear coming out, and we've somehow made it through. We're still side by side at this point in the circuit, and then going in to the entry, we just slowed down in front of Lewis and get it done. That's the side view. Look at that. You can really see how side on we got in our McLaren. And then from our on board, this is the slow-mo. So we've dived it down the inside here, And at this point, my rear's locking. I actually intentionally locked my rear to drift it because I knew we had to drift it to actually get the pass done. We clipped the barrier just a tiny bit, but it didn't break our front wing, thankfully. Thankfully, nothing got broken as well, making a bit of contact with Hamilton on the left-hand side, and then we slowed it down for the overtake. But yeah, intentionally locking the rear to kick the tail out, to drift the nose in, to get the move done. And then unfortunately for Hamilton there, I think he just broke his front wing on my car, but I was slowing down for the DRS line, for the pit limiter, sorry. So Hamilton there has broken a bit of his wing coming into the pit lane, and that ironically wasn't at the part where I drifted it in to overtake him. It was at the part where we were both slowing down for the pit limiter, very strangely, as you're now watching. Well, we overtook Bottas there. Bottas will come back at us though on lap 17, but right now we're actually fighting for P7 with Valtteri Bottas. Once again, the kick Sauber's a bit too unbelievably quick in this race, as the two V-carb drivers fight each other. Ricciardo versus Tsunoda. Tsunoda getting round the outside to try and assert his dominance in this 2024 season. But ahead of them, Stroll, and then ahead of them, the two Mercedes cars. Now, Hamilton, he got damage from me in the pit lane, and he's not changed his front wing. But if you look back at Russell, Russell actually also has damage on the other side of his front wing. So Hamilton's got damage on his left, Russell on his right. So both Mercedes cars have damage. Now, I think Russell got his damage on the fighting he was doing with Lewis before the pit stop. You know, we saw them banging tyres. I think he actually broke a bit of his front wing, which you could see in the gravel trap at the hairpin. So both Mercedes cars in the wars, and they're both suffering because of it. And because they're both suffering with pace, and also they got undercut, the same with Stroll as well, it means that myself and the two kick Saubers have jumped up to P7, 8 and 9 respectively. So all of a sudden this race has turned in from a miserable affair of only fighting for maybe P9 or 10, or yeah, 10 even, I think, at the pace we were going, to now we can maybe get a P7 here if we can get past Bottas finally and then actually see this through to the end. We've got some fuel saving to do, so we will do that, because every time we've got this objective, I've actually been running out of fuel, so I'm going to heed my engineer's warning and try and save that fuel in the next phase of the Grand Prix. Meanwhile, Lando absolutely flying in clean air. He's up to P4, and he's now on the back of one of the Ferraris. Obviously, the two Ferraris started on mediums. They're now on hard tyres. Lando on the medium tyres himself, gunning for a podium spot versus his old teammate and pal as he goes to the inside. Sainz tries to squeeze him a bit, but he's got the overwhelming pace to get the move done. Maybe no, little bit of frostiness as the two bang tyres, and Sainz is able to wrestle the car through back for P3. And did you see that camera shot, by the way? If you go back and just watch that, you would have seen at that camera angle, you can see the bit of front wing that's Russell's in the gravel trap as Lando re-overtakes, for P3, but it's not going to matter because unfortunately the Ferrari will stick with him. And then on to lap 26 on the back straight, Sainz will come back through with the DRS open to repass him for P3. And to be honest, I wouldn't be surprised they're swapping left, right and centre till the end of the Grand Prix. Meanwhile, back to our POV. Now we're all the way to the second last lap of the Grand Prix. We're still P7. My tyres, well, my front left is absolutely shot. 70% worn, my front left is, and you can see the icon is orange, so very much in puncture territory now. And it was a case of, in this last bit of the stint, accepting that the highest position we could get in this race is P7. So just trying to do the best job we could of managing the fuel, the tyres, but the tyre was very difficult to manage on the front left, to be fair, but just trying to keep it ahead of Valtteri Bottas and Zhou Guanyu, who are both lining astern, ready to make the move if I made a mistake. Speaking of mistakes, well, Verstappen made absolutely none in this race. He made up for the sprint race where he was down in P11, and he's gone on to win another Grand Prix. So after the break of Lando winning Japan, it's back to Max domination. The two Ferraris 2 and 3, because Lando's mediums wore out enough where he couldn't actually make a move to finish off a podium, and that would have been a great recovery for him. P4 still great. Alonso fends off Sergio Perez for P5. So a lot of little battles going on, to be fair, throughout the top 10. A few little, 2 on one-on-one battles going on, as we actually have enough battery on the last lap to push away from Bottas and break 1 second. So again, yeah, the AI really don't like to save a lot of battery for the end of the races. So if you're in a fight with other drivers, definitely save battery for the last lap at least. But P7, it could have been a lot worse, to be honest, so I'll take it. And we still got a bloody sprint win, so I'll absolutely take that.
It's a performance to be proud of from our Chinese Grand Prix winners here today.
A great display of dominance today, Crofty, by this driver. They led from lights out to the flag at the end, led every lap of the race. Brilliant stuff by them, and excited to see what more they can do in future races.
The drivers are en route to the podium as we speak. What a fantastic win for the Red Bull team. They performed exceptionally today, keeping us firmly on the edge of our seats throughout the entirety of the race. Congratulations to everybody at the team.
After such a great Japanese Grand Prix weekend, the full Grand Prix here in China does feel like a bit of a step back. Like, that Ferrari upgrade did genuinely seem to work, because they're now back on a double podium, 2 and 3 for Leclerc and Sainz. And to be fair, without the damage, Mercedes also would have been looking pretty quick. So I think we need to try and focus back on the upgrades, clearly. Even though, yes, we got a 1-2 in the sprint, that was because of other circumstances. So on genuine pace, yeah, even though we were so quick in Japan, we've come here, we're not very quick at Shanghai, just showing that we need to keep on with the kind of, war with the R&D upgrades with our rivals of Ferrari and Mercedes, and we're all trying to catch Red Bull, of course. But the recognition keeps on going up then in this team as we make good progress as a driver, of course, on the overall rating. And even though the full Grand Prix result didn't feel like a great one, we got a sprint win. Yes, in odd circumstances, but you gotta take what's given to you when you get the chance, and we did. Guys, if you have enjoyed this episode, hit the like button. Let me know what you thought in the comments below. If you're around here, then do get subscribed for weekly Formula 1 content. I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye.